Hi, Assembly Member. Thank you for being here.
And thank you for the invite.
Hello, it's great to see you again. Lots of faces on the screen. We have here today our 2024 Speaker Series graduates, along with some of our food bank board and leadership who are here to join in the graduation with us. Assembly Member, I'll briefly introduce you and then hand it over to you if there's anything else you'd like to share with the group before we get going. But thank you everyone for being here. Assemblymember Grayson, it's great to see you again. As I just mentioned, this is our 2024 Speaker Series graduation. All of these wonderful advocates, 12 of the people you see here today, have gone through the annual 6-week training program that the food bank provides for those in your district and our community who have lived experience with food insecurity. And throughout the past 6 weeks, we've been identifying each individual's why, or their personal motivating factor for why they want to be a hunger fighter. And we've been condensing that down to a 2-minute hunger story. And the purpose of that 2-minute hunger story is to really be the building blocks for legislative advocacy going forward, since our whole advocacy approach is centered around the lived experience of those in our community. So what you are about to hear today are those 2-minute hunger stories. And for all of our graduates who are just meeting the Assembly Member for the first time, Assemblymember Grayson represents the 15th District, has much of our service area, and has been a wonderful partner of the food bank and of our advocacy team and for our advocates over the many years, at least that I've been here, the last 5 years and even long before that. If there aren't any immediate questions, Assemblymember Grayson, I'll hand it over to you to introduce yourself and then we'll get started.
Well, thank you so very much. Very kind words, Cassidy. And I am so honored to be here with you all today and very excited about hearing your stories in 2-minute segments, of course. But I just wanted to say this, that we cannot discount or dismiss the power of the voice. And what adds power to that voice is experience. When you can bring your experience, articulate it, and bring it to life in the minds of others, and get them to actually feel, whether it be the emotions or the story coming to life within their own lives, that connection is forever. And so don't ever, and I wouldn't imagine you would, but don't ever discount any opportunity you have to be able to bring that story to life in someone else's life and to articulate your experience. Being a fan of Food Bank, and just absolutely honor and commend Food Bank for all the work that they do in the community. It's really all about the people and not about titles, not about a nonprofit or corporation. It really is all about the people, lifting people up, serving people, and providing, excuse me, that opportunity for people to be able to turn right around and reinvest and give back. And that's exactly what you all are doing. In my mind, you're all heroes. So I'm excited and look forward to hearing your stories.
Thank you so much, Assemblymember. So as we mentioned, each advocate will speak for 2 minutes. And then at the end of that advocate sharing, if you want to share any celebrations or thoughts you have, one of our goals with ending our 6-week program with an elected official here to hear the stories is so that we have this opportunity to hear what was really effective and what was shared, and then hear if there's maybe something else you would have loved to hear, so that as we all go on and continue advocating together, we're making sure that we are all talking about what our elected officials really need to hear in these brief moments that we are meeting together. So whatever you'd like to share with the advocates after they speak will be great, and then we'll just call on the next speaker. So Haley, I'll hand it over to you to run us through our speakers.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Cassidy. And thank you so much, Assemblymember Grayson, for being here and listening to our advocate stories. We're going to go ahead and start it off with Geo.
My name is Geo Dinoso, lifelong Solano County resident. I know what it's like to live with food insecurity and the shame it carries. While attending college, even with working full-time, I struggled to make ends meet. I was scared and desperate. These feelings became an overwhelming filter on every choice I made. When given new opportunities in a new city, I said, I can't afford that, so often that it simply became, I can't. Instead of living my best college life, I could only focus on surviving. Eventually, I learned about a college pantry. At first, I dismissed the idea. It was hard accepting the fact that I still needed help. I felt undeserving when I saw the line of hundreds of students, some waiting with their luggage to carry the food assistance. I was clouded with shame-ridden thoughts like, am I taking away the help from someone who needs it more than I do? More awareness of why these programs exist and what I could have qualified for would have lessened the shame I endured and would have helped me reach my fullest potential. According to the Food and Housing Survey done by the California Student Aid Commission, over 66% of students were experiencing food insecurity in the 2022-2023 academic year. Reaching out for support is not a sign of weakness. It's empowering to express your need and to access support around you. We have to support each other in building a stable life for everyone. No one is an island. No one has to do this alone. Assemblymember Grayson, we ask for your strong support of AB 2150, Public Benefits and Higher Education County Liaisons, to help connect the vital support to those who need it. Thank you for your time.
That was wonderful.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Geo. And then next we have Kanti.
Good afternoon, Assemblymember Grayson and our entire Speaker Series team. I'm Kanti Uppall, policy advocate and Speaker Series graduate member from the Food Bank of Contra Costa Solano. I'm both proud and empowered to share my story with you today. When I was 21 years old and a student at UC Berkeley, my father passed away unexpectedly. Concurrently, my older brother was also sick and in the ICU at a different hospital. We were in financial bad times and I had to take time off of school for both my mental health as well as to help pay the bills at home. At one point, I was working 4 different jobs to try to help support my family. I remember the cold winter and worrying that we'd be unable to pay the electric and heating bill. I also remember my favorite sandwich shop that I could no longer afford. There became a time I began collecting recyclables around the neighborhood just so I could get that favorite sandwich that I missed, and to me represented a sense of normality and safeness that I no longer had. I felt embarrassed having to collect recyclables, and I never told my friends about it, that I was collecting them to help pay for food. My hope and goal is for others not to feel that same sense of despair about the most basic necessity, which is food. I ultimately went on to complete college and medical school, and I'm currently working as a thoracic surgeon in Northern California. I also started a nonprofit about 8 years ago with a specific goal to help those with food insecurity, and carry on that mission today with my 2 young sons. Overall, 1 in 8 households, 13%, experienced food insecurity in 2023, translates into about 45 million people. Today, I'm asking for your support, Assemblymember Grayson, for Bill AB 1961, which will establish a comprehensive plan to look at the root cause of hunger and provide avenues to help those individuals suffering from food insecurity. I really appreciate your time. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Kanti. And then next we have Tara.
Hello, Assemblymember Grayson. Hello, everyone. My name is Tara Segura. I'm a participant at the Food Bank of Contra Costa and Solano's 2024 Speaker Series. Around the age of 12, I embraced animal rights activism, and I made a vow to never consume anything with a face, fur, or feathers ever again. This choice was quite unusual in my Filipino household. At home, meals were typically meat-centric, and there were often no food options for me. And my family's rule was clear. If I didn't eat what was cooked, then I wouldn't eat, but I stuck to my vow. It wasn't until after high school when I met my future husband and got my first job that I would start eating regularly again. His Mexican background introduced me to an amazing new source of protein, beans. And I gained 30 pounds in my first year after high school. That's when I realized how malnourished I had been. As an adolescent, I was afraid to admit my hunger. I was skinny, weak, unable to focus, had stomach pains, and was often consumed by intense sadness. It never occurred to me then that my hunger could be the underlying cause of these struggles. I didn't know about food programs at the time, but even if I did, I would have been too embarrassed to apply, and based on my parents' income, I wouldn't have qualified. My experience has shown me that hunger and food insecurity can affect anyone, regardless of appearance or living situation. A recent survey states 26% of households with children in California are currently facing food insecurity. This statistic is concerning as adolescence is a critical time for nutrition. While we all come from different backgrounds, we are all entitled to food security, including those of us with special dietary needs. Assemblymember, I urge you to strongly support AB 1961, the End Hunger in California Act, to provide comprehensive recommendations to prevent hunger and ensure access to healthy, culturally relevant food for all. Thank you for your time.
Very enlightening. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tara. And then next we have Jeanette.
Good afternoon, Assemblymember Grayson. My name is Jeanette Stotts. I am 64 years old. I reside in Pittsburgh. I am on the executive board of a nonprofit corporation which supports and benefits the mental health and quality of life for seniors in our community. Although caring for my fellow seniors gives me such joy, I did not experience this type of support as a child. There were many times I was homeless because my parents were addicted to drugs and alcohol. Being extremely poor resulted in development of poor eating habits. I was afraid most of the time because I didn't know where my next meal would be. I would hide in the school bathrooms during lunchtime because I had nothing to eat, and I was ashamed to let the other kids or the grown-ups know that I had no lunch. Because of my food insecurities, asking anybody for help was difficult. This was carried on into my adult years. Today, I am obese. I have several medical conditions, 3 heart attacks, 4 strokes, 2 before I was even 30, high blood pressure, diabetes, and high cholesterol. I believe that my health is directly related to the diet that I can afford. As a senior on a fixed income, I have a choice between spending more money on healthier foods or buying foods that are cheaper and higher in calories so I can pay my rent and other bills. Research has estimated that subsidizing healthy foods for Medicaid and Medicare patients could save $400 to $100 billion in healthcare costs. Assembly Member Grayson, I strongly urge you to support Bill AB 1975, medically supported food and nutrition interventions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeanette.
Awesome. Amazing. Thank you so much, Jeanette. And then next we have Paul.
Thank you, Assembly Member and fellow participants. My name is Paul Wolfe, and I work with the Torres Shelter in Chico, California. I personally had struggles in my life, which inspired me to help with our biggest community crisis, homelessness. So in 2018, I started working with the Torres Shelter, the largest low-barrier congregate shelter north of Sacramento. Shelter serves 150 plus Butte County residents per day, and what we see are people who are malnourished, have no access to hygiene, and sleeping in anything but a bed. They deal with the myriad of issues that cause homelessness, and 96% of our guests identify as disabled. What they all have in common is food insecurity and require basic needs services to regain a baseline in life. Most people on our streets have little to eat and live in constant fear for their safety. We all know the malnourished brain can do little else but operate in survival mode. So how can we expect these individuals to engage in a life-changing plan? Simply, we cannot. Angel is a prime example, a middle-aged male our street outreach team found living under a blanket on a bike path. His life was derailed by an injury that cost him his livelihood, and he spiraled into drug use and depression. He was lucky to eat once per day, but after a couple of months at the shelter, Angel put 20 pounds back on his once gaunt body. With his basic needs met came a hope that has helped him to stop using, and this renewed strength allowed him to engage in services that are helping him build back a meaningful life. Food, rest, and hygiene seem a given to most of us, but as Angel realized, we are all one bad life event away from losing everything. We focus on stability services for our guests, with 3 meals a day being the foundational leg. Torres serves over 109,000 meals annually, and this basic needs approach led us to permanently house 24% of our 2023 guests. Resources are always needed to sustain these critical food services. So Assemblymember Grayson, we ask you to support AB 2311 as food recovery infrastructure is critical to our mission. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Paul. That was awesome.
Thank you so much, Paul. Amazing. And then
So maybe she had to step away for a moment. Let's go to the next spot on the agenda. It looks like Benjamin, and then we'll come back to Hannah.
Good afternoon, Assemblymember Grayson, food bank leadership, mentors, and fellow graduates. My name is Benjamin Brisjar. I'm a retired doctor of chiropractic, and I currently live in Pittsburgh. When I was 10 years old, my father retired from the U.S. Air Force. At 41, my dad was too young to collect military retirement pay, but he moved our family from the Philippines to South San Francisco with only a dream to provide a good education for his children. He didn't have a job. On my first day of school, the teacher told me to tell the lunch lady my name and I would get something to eat. I didn't know why I did this, but I remember being ashamed when my classmates asked me why I didn't pay. There were days when I would rather go hungry than get in the lunch line, but the teacher made sure I got in line. So I swallowed my shame along with my lunch. One day a classmate asked me if my name was on the lunch list because my parents paid for my food ahead of time. I chose to believe that story so I could eat without the bitter taste of shame on my tongue. The next year we moved to Pittsburgh's Lido Square apartments for low-income families. In 6th grade at Los Medanos Elementary, I worked in the lunchroom as part of the school lunch program. My job was to collect the lunch trays, scrape them, rinse them, stack them, and load them into the dishwasher. In return, I got a free lunch. In the 1970s, the lunch programs gave me a hot meal every school day. Today, 13 million children in the U.S. are food insecure, and 1 in 5 don't know where their next meals are coming from. Assemblymember Grayson, I strongly urge you to support U.S. Senate Bill S-1530, the Universal School Meals Program Act of 2021, which permanently provides free meals to all school children regardless of income. I appreciate your time. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Benjamin. Beautiful.
thank you so much, Benjamin. And then I think Hannah, she messaged saying that she can go next. Are you there, Hannah?
Yes, I'm here. Hello, Assemblymember Grayson. My name is Hannah Gentry. I'm a 2024 Speaker Series participant and a volunteer for the Food Bank of Contra Costa in Solano County. My earliest memories of food insecurity started as a child. I understood the feeling of hunger in my stomach or the look of stress in my mother's eyes when she could only provide a box of crackers for snack time on my assigned day in kindergarten. I remember her tears when she asked me if I had any money in my piggy bank so that she could buy bread for the family. My mother continued to struggle with the effects of poverty despite the fact that she was always employed and received public benefits such as SNAP and Section 8 housing. After losing her father and then her mother to a senseless act of violence, her grief would lead her into a life of addiction and abuse. I would ultimately spend my entire youth in the foster care system, where I continued to experience food insecurity as some homes didn't provide regular meals or used food as a punishment rather than a human right. I would repeat the cycle of generational trauma in my adult life, spending many years homeless and experiencing the damaging effects of food injustice. According to Feeding America, in 2022, more than 13 million children face hunger, and 1 in 5 children is unsure where their next meal will come from. We are asking for your strong support with Assembly Bill 1961, the End Hunger in California Act. Thank you for your time.
And thank you for your testimony.
Thank you so much, Hannah. And then next we have Veronica.
Good afternoon, Assembly Member Grayson. My name is Veronica Jimenez, and I'm the Program Supervisor for Numerous Care under the Ministerial Association of Colusa County. I'm also a wife and a mother to a 13-year-old boy. As someone who has dedicated my career to serving families in need, I understand firsthand the challenges of food insecurity. Having grown up in a large family household myself, I am aware of the importance of a balanced diet for overall well-being. While my family did not rely on food banks as a child, I learned my mother's lack of knowledge may have prevented her from accessing such resources. My own experience with food insecurity came later in life when my husband faced an unexpected career change and coinciding with a period of unemployment for myself. This temporary hardship highlighted the vulnerabilities of working families and the critical roles of food banks in providing essential support during difficult times. In my current role at the Ministerial Association, I have witnessed the profound impact of our food banks on hundreds of families struggling with food insecurities. The ability to offer fresh produce and healthy staples has been a privilege and a lifeline for many, including my own family at one point. Food insecurity knows no bounds. Working families are just as vulnerable to those challenges, and access to these resources becomes even more critical. As of October 2023, over 3 million households in California, including over 1 million households with children, face food insecurity. Assemblymember Grayson, I urge you to lend your support to CalFood's $60 million ongoing budget request. An ongoing investment in CalFoods is needed to fight hunger and support our farmers and build towards the healthy, hunger-free future we know is possible. This investment will play a vital role in strengthening our food safety net and fostering a healthier Colusa County. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Veronica.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Veronica. And then next we have Andrew.
Hello, my name is Andrew Noerr, and I'm the Donor Relations Manager at the Food Bank of Contra Costa and Solano, and a participant of the 2024 Food Bank Speaker Series. I am here to personally advocate for AB 2150, Public Benefits and Higher Education County Liaisons. While I have not experienced food insecurity, when I was in college, my friends at the University of San Francisco often asked me for meal money in the cafeteria at any time of the semester. Until then, I mistakenly thought that all students at my private university had ample resources to afford food dollars for meals. I gladly paid for plenty of their meals for the rest of the semester, as none of us seemed to be aware of college pantry nor social safety net programs. My friends spoke to me plenty about their worries concerning their next meal. They seemed to be more distracted by how to get food than thinking about their class assignments. It really felt like cafeteria or bust. Back then, I never knew to recommend food assistance programs like CalFresh to anyone, as I had no idea that they existed. We evidently didn't have any USF faculty nor local government staff advocating for them either. It seems to be a widespread issue in the state, as according to a report just a few years ago from the California Department of Social Services, it has been estimated that only between 18 to 30% of CalFresh eligible college students were actually enrolled in the program. Just 18 to 30%. Assemblymember Grayson, it is then clear that awareness of food assistance benefits for college students in California is still a legitimate issue. Utilization of CalFresh benefits is not anywhere close to its potential, so outreach and education are pivotal for more students getting enrolled. Assemblymember Grayson, we ask for your strong support of AB 2150. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Andrew. And then next we have Dani.
Hi, I'm Dani Gabriel. I work for the Food Bank of Contra Costa and Solano, and I'm a participant in the Food Bank's 2024 Speaker Series. I'd like to share a poem based on my experience with food insecurity. It's called Hot Check Days. After we spent her paycheck and rolled all the pennies, after we spent every last dime we could find hiding in drawers, under the couch cushions, or in old coat pockets, after no check came from Grandma and we'd eaten the last packet of ramen with the last stale saltines, Mom would smile like this was a holiday. She'd load us into her aging navy blue Oldsmobile, drive to the biggest grocery store in town and tell us, pick anything. We'd streak up and down aisles, grabbing whatever we could carry, soda and chewy granola bars, individually wrapped snack packs of chips, every last flavor of Kool-Aid, boxes of fish sticks and Apple Jacks, Hungry Man Salisbury steaks with supersized mashed potatoes. We'd hurl it all into her basket, wondering how we could run out of the store with so much stuff. But while we stood close to each other and watched, our mother pushed the cart up to the counter, chatted with the cashier, and wrote a check for $40 over. He even said, "Thank you, ma'am," as he handed it to her. She grinned back, "No, really, thank you," and wheeled us into the parking lot. "Well, now we have gas money," she'd say. "Who wants to see a movie?" According to Feeding America, 1 in 5 children are food insecure, like I was. Assemblymember Grayson, I ask you to please support AB 1961 so that families don't have to worry about how they're going to put food on the table. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Dan.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Dani. And then we have one more speaker. We have Rachel.
Good afternoon, Assemblymember Grayson. My name is Rachel Byum, and I'm a family child care provider in Contra Costa County. And I'm also a participant in the Food Bank's 2024 Speaker Series. This is my hunger story. In August of 2007, I was pregnant with my second child. By September, I had to have emergency surgery to remove a cyst the size of a basketball. I was off work for 6 weeks, and then when I came back to work, my job was downsized. That meant we only had one income coming into our household. By November, we were struggling to get by. Many times my husband would not eat just to make sure that my son and I had enough food. By December, we were homeless and sleeping in our car and scraping up coins just to get enough money for food or gas. No one knew that our situation had gotten that bad, as we had not told anyone for fear of embarrassment and disappointment. One day in January, I saw an old friend as I was dropping my son off at school. We started chatting and I broke down and cried when I told her what was going on. She told me about the food bank and about CalFresh, something that I didn't know existed. Today, there are 1 in 5 Californians and around 8.8 million people who struggle with food insecurity. Being able to go to the food bank and apply for emergency CalFresh was a blessing. It lifted a burden to be able to feed my son. Things got better for our family after that day. The support from the food bank and CalFresh helped save my family. Today, we are asking for your support on AB 1968, SSI, and CalFresh so that more families can get the help that they need and not go hungry. Thank you for your time and support.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your hunger stories. Assemblymember, any reactions or comments you want to share with our 12 newly trained advocates and Speaker Series graduates?
First of all, you have been incredibly and well trained. Few people ever understand coming in as an advocate into a member's office, a legislator's office. You literally have the first 2 or 3 minutes to make your case. Even though you might have 10, 15 minutes in that office, that first 2 or 3 minutes of you speaking is what makes all the difference. And that's where your story is really told. And each and every one of you articulated in such a wonderful, passionate way. It drew me in to the points that there was a theme amongst almost every story. And that was the shame that was experienced by the person going through the struggle. And the answer was present, the answer was there, but not surely or well known how to access it. And the obstacles or the challenge of overcoming whatever it was to be able to get in and access that. Each and every one of you articulated the struggle, articulated where the answer was, and then articulated through whether it's legislation or a program, how to make that connection, the one with the need and the one that has the answer and the solution. And so thank you very much. I would be happy to support every one of those efforts.
Wonderful. Well, you just completely outlined the template we give all the advocates. So I'm so glad that came through. Thank you, Assembly Member. And actually, you have been a strong supporter of many of the bills we talked about today. So thank you to you and Mike, your office, for all of your support over the years. Advocates, I know we're at time, but do any of the advocates who just shared their story have anything they would like to mention or ask to the Assembly Member at this time, even if it's just thank you for being here? Just want to give you all the chance. I can't see everyone, so feel free just to go off mute. No?
I would just like to say thank you so much for your time, Assemblymember Grayson. We've been building up to this for a while now, and we're so thankful for you to give this time an opportunity. So I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
I echo that also. I'd like to thank you for your time, and I'd like to thank the speaker series panel, our teachers, our mentors. They've been really great. I just appreciate them so much.
Well said, Benjamin.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you, Assembly Member. It was great to have you here. Thank you for your time. And congratulations to all of our graduates. That concludes our 2024 Speaker Series graduation. Thank you all. Great work. And for anyone who would like to stay on and debrief, feel free to stay. Otherwise, you're all free to go. Thank you so much. Great work.